Hi everyone, I'm Chef Susie with Escoffier Online. Welcome to our live session this morning. Today we're going to be covering a topic that is part of modernist cuisine and molecular gastronomy. And we're going to be covering the topic of gelification, which is a real simple technique. It's a great way to get started into exploring molecular gastronomy. And you'll find that the ingredients that I'm going to be using today are very readily available to you, so you don't have to buy any fancy ingredients, and everything that you're going to be using you pretty much have in your kitchen. So please, after today's session, please explore gelification. The most common types of gelification are the sheeting and the spaghetti, which is typically made in the tube. And today we're going to be showing the sheeting, and very easy ingredients to work with. Two of the most common ingredients to set up these sheets are agar and gelatin, and I've chosen to use gelatin today because it's readily available. So there you go. I'm just going to be using some cherry juice with some gelatin, and then we'll be on our way to molecular gastronomy. And the formation of gel is what makes the liquid solid, and that's what the gelification process is. And jellies and gelatin desserts have been around for a long time in culinary preparations, but they've had a recent notable evolution into modernist cuisine. So knowing all that, let's get started. So I've got some cherry juice. Keep in mind, you can do this technique either sweet or savory. You can use a variety of things. Once you learn the technique, you can start exploring different flavors. And like anything, your own flavor combinations are going to make your dishes uniquely your own. So I've got some cherry juice on the stove here that I'm going to be warming. You can use any type of fruit juices. You can use things like vegetable purees. You can use maybe some balsamic vinegar, and you can use more than one flavor combination. I'm sticking with the cherry juice. I like using cherry juice because I really like the color of it, and some of the other juices you may use, like orange or grapefruit, they don't have so much color, so you're going to want to put those on something very colorful. So it's just the cherry juice, which I have warming, and I'm going to be using the gelatin like I talked about. And I have some sheet gelatin blooming here, which is softening this in the water. When it went in, it was very stiff, and you can also use powdered gelatin too. I'm showing the sheet gelatin today in case you haven't used it, so you can become familiar with it. So it's completely bloomed. Always do this in cool water. If you put it in warm water, your gelatin is going to disappear. So cool water to bloom your gelatin. When you're using powdered gelatin, you're going to soften it in water. But these are just softening and blooming techniques. You actually need to heat these to dissolve them. So always remember that it's not dissolved when it's in the cold water. It looks like it's dissolved, but really it's just softened. So knowing that, let's turn up the fire on our cherry real quick. We want to get this nice and warm so it can actually dissolve the gelatin. And please let me know if you have any questions so far. And remember, I'm available at 877-452-5489. If you ever need me, you can give me a call or send me an email. I'd be happy to help you with any of your modernist desserts. Like I said, you can use this on the savory side. I'm going to be showing a simple plate-up presentation today. These are also nice for salads too, and appetizers, cool appetizers. You don't want to use this on something warm because it's going to melt at about 80 degrees. So you're going to always want to use it for something that's cool or at room temperature, not something that's warm. There are techniques where you can use these things at warmer temperatures using different ingredients, but that's something we'll talk about later on. Right now, we're just doing something very basic, introductory, simplified, because I want you guys to start on your modernist cuisine and have lots of fun with it. Don't be intimidated by it. Molecular gastronomy is a big word, but once you learn these techniques and you do these a few times, you're going to see how easy it is and how nice it makes your presentations. And do we have a question?
How long do you soften the gelatin in the water
The question is, how long did I soften or bloom the gelatin in the water? Just a few minutes. You can feel it. It's coarse when it goes in, and it's nice and soft now. It's well hydrated. And the cherry juice, I'm just going to warm it until it starts to boil. And you don't want to simmer it unless you're reducing it. You can do that too. You can make this more flavorful by reducing your juice, but you just want to bring it to a boil because you want it to dissolve the gelatin. And we have another question.
Someone asked if we can put these on our roulettes.
We have a really good question. I like this a lot. Can you use this for a roulade? You can, especially something that is this striking in color. If you were to make a roulade with this, you'll put the sheet down. It's going to take a little practice handling this and getting the right consistency. Take some notes when you're doing these things too, so you know your consistency. Some of these will be very bendable and some of them will be more stiff where you can actually pop them up on a salad or a dessert. So you're going to want something flexible. You can put your sheet down and you could fill it with some mousse or even some buttercream. The red would look really nice with something white, like maybe a white chocolate mousse. You're going to roll it up like a roulade. I do suggest cooling it really well or even possibly freezing it. Experiment with that. Slice it, super beautiful look, really nice dessert. I highly recommend tackling that once you become comfortable with this. Okay, so I brought my cherry juice to a boil. Let's move it over to the table. It's plenty warm. And I'm just going to be picking up this bloom gelatin and I'm just putting it right inside. You could just pull it out of the water like this. I wouldn't put it in a strainer. Just kind of pick it up. And I was handling it a little bit, so I broke it up a little bit. That happens every now and then, but really no need to strain this. You can just pull it right out, kind of get your hands in it. Chefs and pastry chefs, we definitely like to get our hands in things. Okay, so I've gotten it all out of here. And try not to handle it too much and you won't have so much breakage. Okay, so the heat of the liquid is now dissolving this. Okay, and you can kind of feel it as it's melting or dissolving at a little bit at the bottom here. So I'm just mixing this. If you ever find when you're doing this, it's going to show up more with these darker colors. If you get like a foam or a film for some reason, it could have been something on your utensil or your pot, you can easily just skim that off with a spoon. Okay, so this cherry is it's a super beautiful color. I like to use these darker colors, the cherry or even the blueberry. And what I did for the cherry juice is I bought a bottle of 100% pure cherry juice, organic, and I like to use sometimes these juices out of the bottle because they're filtered in a factory with these super fine filters, and this way you get really clean look and really clear. But even if you're not looking for the clean, clear look, if you use a fresh fruit puree, that's okay too. It's going to be a little more opaque, but I really wanted to get a clear look with this. Okay, do we have any questions? Okay, so my gelatin is completely dissolved. I'm just going to mix this just a little bit more. So here we go, 2 ingredients. We're on our way to modernist cuisine. You can do this, just take your time. Okay, so these can set up quickly in the refrigerator. So I've got a small pan, and you're just going to be pouring it in your pan, and then it's going to go right into the refrigerator. This is very liquidy. Sometimes if you're doing recipes with agar, you're going to be spreading them on the pan, and they really just need a few minutes to set sometime. Okay, so my surface is not real even here. When I'm putting this in the refrigerator, take a look at it that it's the surface is as even as it can be. You can put like a little napkin under one side to straighten out this pan. So this is going to go in the refrigerator, and I've got one that I made earlier. So we're just going to set this aside. Okay, so I have a pan that I made earlier, and it's set up completely, I would say, in no more than 10 minutes. It's a little warm, cooled off, and then it completely set. So what we're going to do is we're going to be cutting out some pieces, and we're going to apply them to a dessert. So I've got an almond panna cotta that I made earlier. And I chose these flavors together because I really like the complement of the almond with the panna cotta. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to be cutting out a few pieces. It's a good idea if you've got some gloves to put these on so you don't get a lot of fingerprints. If not, just be careful. And do we have any questions on anything so far? Okay, so keep in mind, if your kitchen is warm, this may get a little sticky on you. It's a little warm in here. It's starting to get a little bit sticky. You can put it back in the refrigerator. If you're in a warm climate, be mindful that this is gelatin, and when it starts to get warmed up, it's going to start to get just a little softer. It's still going to hold its shape. Might be a little sticky. Just be patient with it, okay? And we've got another question.
Should we grease or line the pan for easy removal?
Did I what?
Should we grease or line the pan for easy removal?
The question is should I grease or line the pan for easy removal? What you can do is you can do this on a sill pad, but be careful, I didn't put a sill pad on here because I'm cutting. If you're cutting, you don't really want to put a sill pad on there because you could cut your sill pad. You don't want to damage them. It's a nice piece of equipment for your kitchen. What you can do is if you're worried about this sticking, you can line it with plastic if you want, or you can put just a little teeny bit of oil in the bottom, just a little bit, and then just rub it with a paper towel, and that'll ensure that you're not going to have any sticking. It should come out just fine on its own, but if you've got an older pan that's got some texture to it, you want to be mindful of that, and you want to try to get the flattest pan that you have. I know it's hard in a kitchen to keep flat pans around, but just get the flattest one that you can, and like I said, put a little napkin or something under it in the refrigerator and try to get it as even as you can. Okay, so let's go ahead and cut some of these out. Okay, I'm just using the round cutter, and then I'm just going to be picking this up with my offset serrated spatula. It's a little warm in here, so I've got a little stickiness, but that's okay. We can work around it. Okay, you're just going to want to be careful that you're not tearing it. And then what I'm going to do is just going to gently place this on my dessert. I kind of want to get it to the end. I'm looking for a little bit of an offset look. Uh-oh, we've got a little stickiness going on. Let's try to make another one. And I'm going to try to do this without the gloves because it's getting a little warm in the kitchen here. Let's go ahead and we'll make a smaller one. Okay, and do we have any questions so far? So take your time with your modernist cuisine. Okay, there we go. So we're getting a little sticky here, but that's okay. We're just going to work around it. This could happen at home too. So it's better to see it here with me in the beginning. And we have another question.
Can you freeze the gel and thaw it to use again later?
The question is can you freeze it to use again later? You can. Be careful when you're thawing it out. You might get some water spots on it. But yeah, definitely try to freeze it. There's really no need to freeze it because there's really nothing perishable. So I would recommend refrigeration, definitely. Okay, so we've got a piece of our gelatin on our panna cotta. Let's see if we can get another piece on our plate here. Okay. We're going to cut out another piece before it gets too warm in here. And do we have any questions? You can also, too, if you're working in a warmer kitchen, you can add a little bit extra gelatin or a little bit extra agar. That's going to help with some of this stickiness. And it's going to give you the nice round shapes. So we've got a few shapes on our dessert, so let's go ahead and finish it. So getting the hang of the technique, I think you'll like it a lot. So I'm just going to be doing some chocolate sauce dotting. And do we have any questions? I've got a little bit of whipped cream that I made earlier. We're going to put a little dab on our dessert too. And then we're just going to be putting some fresh fruits and berries. So please try these modernist techniques. You'll be happy that you learned them. And please call me if you have any questions. We're getting ready to wrap up. So please, if you have any questions, let me know. And I definitely recommend exploring modernist cuisine. We're going to put a few of our blueberries on the plate with our blackberries and we'll be all set. So we have a nice unique looking dessert. And we have another question.
Can you use parchment paper to lay on the sheet and yeah, that's it.
The question is can you use parchment paper to lay on the sheet? I wouldn't use that. It's going to get soggy. You're going to want to stick with a little bit of plastic wrap or definitely a silpat. Be careful if you're cutting when using a silpat though. But I just like to use a little bit of oil myself, just a little dab.
Someone asked where the recipe will be posted.
Okay, we'll be posting the recipe today. So here we have our modernist plating example with our Gelification, and we've got some more questions coming in.
Can you plate this completely ahead of time, store it in the fridge, and then serve it later?
Hmm?
Can you plate this ahead of time, put it in the fridge, and then serve it later?
The question is, can you plate this ahead of time, put it in the fridge, and then serve it? Absolutely, as long as your sauce is going to hold up and your fruit or berries is going to hold up, definitely. You wouldn't want to leave it uncovered overnight in a refrigerator because it can get wet and you can get water on these little Gelification discs, but definitely it'll hold up a few hours ahead of time if you're having guests over or if you're making it in a restaurant. So thanks for joining me today for our Gelification. And please contact me anytime you have any questions, 877-452-5489. And don't forget the contest that's going on this month. The more assignments that you submit, the better your chances are of winning, and it's going to get you better. It's going to get you closer to graduation in February. So we'll see you next week. Thanks and have a wonderful weekend.